All righty. So we are back for November Stampers Club Technique Time. And today I kind of cased this card, to be honest, ladies. I kind of cased this card from, oh, Jennifer McGuire. That was it. I was like, who did I case this from? And I just loved the idea that I saw her do. And I thought, I just really have to try that with some of our Stampin' Up! Stamps and lovely colors. So it's the idea. This is not the card we're doing, obviously, but some of the idea is that you create a background and you layer colors and stencil and all of that. And you create a background where you don't have to stamp the main image. So, or you don't have to color. Sorry, obviously you have to stamp it, but you don't color it. So this is just a real fun process. So kind of played with that one. My first one I played with, I'll tell you, I did not like this one, but I played with this one. And then I thought, oh, that looked like a bunch of bats flying. I know, right? So I was like, I'm not sure I'm real happy with that one. But then I played with the flower and then I thought, okay, well, no, I'm definitely going to go back to this one. So the card that I ended up with was this one, and it kind of opens in a funky way because it's just kind of fun to do that. I will tell you a couple things. I love this mesh ribbon that we have. Oh my goodness. You can even sponge on top of that. It is so soft and lays so nicely. You saw how I used it in a different way up there. And this one, I just tied in a little knot and then tucked it underneath there. So we're going to go over how to do this particular technique. What you're going to need, and I put that in your list already, but you need 3 inks. You need a white pigment ink because we're going to use that, and you need stencils. Um, the stencils, and I will tell you originally, you could also use a background stamp on top of it. But I tried that and it didn't really work so well. So I'm like, not going to do it. Right. So some of the stencils, I tried something that was close like this, and I even combined it with this. This is our pack of Stampin' Up! Stencils. So I know some of you have bought that. Yay, I see you hold them up. Okay, so we have this. And then obviously you can see I tried the trees with that one card. And then I just kind of gravitated back to this one. But whatever stencil you happen to have, or mask, overlay mask, we call them, whatever you have is going to work just fine. So having said that, I'm going to tilt the, oh, I wanted to show you one more other thing, what we're using. So I was using the Dove of Hope stamp set. I love this, and I just used the die to cut and make a mask. So I stamped and made a little mask. And I already, for this, I already pre-stamped mine. And I'm going to just lay the mask. So let's get started and I'll show you this wonderful, fun technique. So here we go. All right, hopefully give me a thumbs up if you can see this and it's clear and you're able to see it. Can you guys see this? I see thumbs up. Okay, so very good. I'll go like that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to cover my little image that I have stamped, okay? Now, you'll notice that it's nice and sticky here, but not so much there. So I'm just going to be careful when I get up to that point. I have 3 colors. I'm going to use Balmy Blue, Melon Mambo, Gorgeous Grape, and then I'm going to go back and use Whisper White. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm not going to be using my stencil for this first part. What I recommend when you're doing this technique is that you start in your ink pad, but then you kind of make sure you come off just a little bit on the paper so you don't have this stark blah right on your work surface. So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to kind of come around my bird as I stencil. And then I'm doing this for a reason, because you will notice that I don't know if you can see it, but you're going to notice that there is going to be a little line. If you use a die cut, it never gets right up against the line. So I could later go back with a marker and I know it's going to be blue. So I can go back and easily do it. So if I go all the way around my little guy with my particular color of choice, don't have to, but I'm just saying this is what I found kind of worked for me.
Jack,
Uh-oh.
we lost the
Okay.
video.
Yep, I see you lost video. Let me see what we can do here. Not sure why we lost video. Let's see. Okay, let's try again. Okay, here we go. Technology today, guys. It's crazy. Thank you for letting me know about the loss of video. So where was I? Okay, so you will notice that when you use a die cut to cut out an image, it's going to not be up against it so much. So I can later go back and then do a marker on this. So that's why I'm kind of doing this. Now, you'll notice I've got all of this wonderful surface here. So I'm just going to be kind of random. Once I get the feel of my sponge, I can go direct to paper. But that first time you go, you don't want to have this blob. All right. All right. So I've kind of did a bad job cutting that. I've kind of done a little bit random. Now I'm going to go in with my next color. Mine is Melon Mambo. I can't wait to see what you guys have chosen. I'm going to start off a little bit here because I just don't know what the intensity is going to be. And I'm going to come and kind of blend in a little bit. I'm leaving space for my third color. So you see how I'm kind of coming in to my blue just a little bit. It's going to make this shade of purple-ish. The whole goal is to kind of give that blend. Now, I find this technique works really nice when you're burnishing, that's applying pressure down, right? And as you're kind of making little circle motions, I think I'm going to put a little over here just because I can. Now be really careful with your darkest color unless you want it to be a really dark looking thing. I am definitely going to make sure I sponge off to see what it's like. When you are going to be going over with your stencil later on, you won't really be able to go in these wonderful circular motions so much because you're going to have the plastic that you're going to have to work around. So I'm kind of creating this, I don't know, sunset look. I don't know what look I'm really going for. I just thought that these colors were kind of pretty. And I can go lighter and darker in some places. I'm going to go a little darker there. I feel like Bob Ross making happy trees. I'm making happy sky. I'm going to pull a little bit in there just because I think it could look fun. Now, if I wanted, I could go back over with my lighter color just for a little more blending. Okay, I don't have to, but I'm going to choose to. All right, I think that's probably, it's almost to the point like leave well enough alone, right? Okay, so this is what I have so far. Now, the next part is I am going to take my stencil of choice. I am going to leave the mask on just as I have it, but my stencil of choice, I could do it at an angle if I wanted. I could do it straight on. It's just you have to decide how you want the look to be on your piece. Okay. On this one, on the one that I did that are in your instructions, I put it at an angle because I wanted to have a little wisp coming off his wing and all of that. So I'm going to turn it over and you can take masking tape. You can do washi tape. You can do whatever, really, to just kind of hold it on. So I'm going to do it a little bit from the back. That'll kind of make me not have to pay attention to it not moving. But the great thing about a stencil is if it moves, you can always find your way back home with it. You can always find your way back home with it very easily because you'll have the image there. Now, where I have my purple, I am not going to necessarily add purple over purple. I can if I want, but the object and the idea is to add another layer of color. So I'm going to go and my goal is to make sure that I have everything completely inked on my piece. So I'm going to start kind of over here in the corner and I go, okay, I'm going to just add a little bit of blue over my purple because I can. And then let's see, as I work my way over, I might add a little bit of this Melon Mambo over top of the blue. Now, you notice I'm dabbing more because with this, I have my stencil in the way. It's not going to let me, I'm going to go to my purple and put purple over, putting my purple over my pink. It's not going to let me burnish it as much, burnishing, putting pressure and going in little circles. So I'm going to see if I could lift this up to show you. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Now, my purple is my darker color. So just like my other card, it's like, oh, I'm not so much sure about that. But that's okay. I can always adapt and go, you know what? I think I'm preferring more of this red. So I'm, the pink. So basically, you're just going to kind of go by and fill in your different sponging randomly, random colors in different places on your stencil. So don't know really about much more I could tell you about this, except I'm applying some pressure as I go, not being overly thoughtful about it, except being mindful for me of my darker color, which presents something that I'm not as excited about. So I'm kind of working my way over and then down. You could do it however you want to do it, whichever way makes sense for you. This way kind of makes the most sense for me. And notice, whereas before I kind of went over and had, I went over top and when I first started, I kind of went off because I like that because I needed to see how deep my color was going to be. With this, I'm not as concerned at all. So I'm going to just do some of this, add some of that there. You don't need to use all three of your colors. As you can see, I'm kind of down to adding layers with two of my colors. Just kind of going in between them, almost there. There is the opportunity to peek. You can see this lovely, you can see that lovely variety of color that I've got going there. And it just creates this nice depth. And oh, look, my stencil moved. But because it's a stencil, there we go. I can just put it right back in place. As I say that, and I totally lost my spot. There we go. Okay, come on, stay. All right. And this is good too, because you can peek and go, oh my goodness, I haven't even been over in this section. So I'm going to just do that real quick. Yeah, you know what? There we go. It's always when you're on camera, right? Okay, I'm going to add that. I'm going to totally put that in the wrong color. That'll be a nice blend. And I think this is the longest part of the card, to be honest, but I get a lot of enjoyment seeing the effects. I'm going to add some of this down here just because I have it in a different spot. Okay, now I'm going to peek on mine because I want to make sure I have it. Okay, I do. So I'm going to keep it down because the next thing we're going to do, once you have all of your stencil done, you're going to go back. You're not going to need these colors right now because you're going to go over top with Whisper White, but you're not going to do it in all of the spots. You're only going to do what we call a highlight. So let me pull this out. Before I highlight with Whisper White, it's going to be very important that I wipe my stencil off because I don't want this getting on my white ink pad. So I'm going to just kind of wipe this off. Now, there's a lot, normally you should be able to wipe across, but this has a lot of little intricate little cutout pieces on it. So it makes it more difficult to do that. So I'm going to take my Whisper White now. I'm going to dab it in. And with this, I am going to put a little pressure and just a slight little wiggle down. And I'm going to think, where do I want my little highlights? I'm thinking of odd numbers as well. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want a look kind of like right in here. So I'm going to kind of dab some of this and push it into the grooves there. Let's see. I think I want it over here. Maybe a little up here. And maybe some here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course. Of course it's even. Oh boy, that looks gorgeous though. Ah, that looks so nice. Okay, I'm just going to do that so I could say I did an odd number. All right. So when I pull this up, I'm going to take off my mask because I don't need my mask anymore. And actually, I'm just going to do this. I will tell you, when you work with a pigment ink, it is going to stay wet a longer time. So if I was really panicky, I could heat set it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just kind of get excess off by letting it get on that. And I'm going to pull my mask off and save this for another time. But I want to show this to you. Isn't that lovely? Do you see all of that? And you see the highlight a little bit? Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you can see the highlight. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad it's coming through. Yeah. So now you might go, well, that's nice. It's just kind of a fun card. And when you back it on your white, it really makes it pop and you never have to paint or do the dove. But it might bother you a little bit that it's got that white around it. So I'm just going to show you. You can take a gray marker if you want and create a shadow with a gray marker if you don't have the exact color. I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of my blue and just kind of come around it and try to close that gap just a little bit. It's not a necessary have to thing. It's a taste thing. Oops. And, when I did this before, I noticed, oh, I can still see the line a little bit. And, the goal is just illusion, right? It's just to kind of give it that look that the bird or whatever image that you have decided to do is just kind of popping out. So I'm going to come around. I don't know if you can see if my little big hands are getting in the way. So just kind of coming around, outlining it just a little bit. Now you might go, yeah, I see the line, but that is the brilliance too of why I went with blue around him, because I knew that I wanted to tie that in. So hopefully, I know you just saw what I did, so it's probably going to be more obvious to you, but I want to show you something real quickly. We're going to be using on this card. I just love this stuff. The metallic. It's a metallic mesh ribbon. Oh my goodness, 10 yards for $8. But this stuff, oh, it is the most wonderful stuff to work with. And it does great for so many things. It was originally for part of the Halloween collection, which I could see it could be kind of spiderwebby that way. But it's, oh, this is so celebratory of other things and Christmassy. And if you didn't like the color, just saying, if you didn't like the color, whoops, I'm just going to go with this color that I can open easily. Okay, if you didn't like the color, you could totally take that. Let me see if I could show you here. If you could see that. If you didn't like the color, you could totally change the color. You may not be able to see it. Oh, oh, look at this. What a fun, oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to see if I could show this to you. What a fun other technique. This is a 2-in-1, guys. I hadn't tried to color this before, but so I'm just going to just kind of go like this and color this, right? But I want you to see something really cool that's going to be as a result of me dabbing stuff on this. How cool is that? Right? So this is my, I don't know if you can see the pinkness in that now. It may not come through, but this has a little bit of a pink glow. This was a lighter color I was using anyway. But what a fun technique that you could even use your ribbon to create a really interesting background texture that you could use for other things. I mean, so if you color your ribbon, do it on cardstock. So you have the ability to have a bonus background, right? Okay, so I digress. I apologize. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to just do, you can do a bow, you can do whatever you want to do on yours, but I'm just going to make a knot on my card as I have demonstrated in your instruction sheet. And I'm going to decide where I want to put that. I left room here that there could be a message, right? So I want to make sure that I put this on, and I just walked away without my scissors and without my other stuff. So, I'm just going to waste this, but that's okay. I would normally just do tape on the back of this, and I would snip off what I didn't want, but that's okay. We are live. This is just what it's going to be like. Waste, waste, waste. That bothers me. I've got to cut this off. Okay. I apologize. There we go. Just get rid of that. Okay. And then I'm just going to back this on my card. You could back it with dimensionals if you want, however you want to back it. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of glue because I generally, I'll do it that way. I generally like my liquid glue more than my snail adhesive. And liquid glue gets through all of the little parts and pieces of that. I'm going to go like this because I saw a little ink spot on the back. And then just eyeball it and put it down. All right. So there is my finished card. And it was super easy, kind of quick. I know it seemed a little bit longer because I was explaining things, but it has all this beautiful texture and different layers. And I did it on shimmer paper, which I think looks beautiful. It creates an extra shimmer, but I didn't do that with my first 2 samples I had done. So plain white cardstock works just great as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, let you guys finish stamping and answer any questions you may have. So let me stop record here. As I say that, that little button's not coming up. Here we go. Stop recording.